So you're here for some GCSE last minute tips for religious studies paper 2. Well, I got you. I've got some things I'm going to say for this paper specifically, and just generally what you need to do to get a good grade overall for GCSE RS. So let's just get straight on with it. Now, what is this paper? This is the thematic paper. This is the one that's got different themes in it. You need to know which themes you're doing as a school. Be very clear with what you're learning and which topics you're going to be doing, because when you're in that exam, there's going to be a lot of ones that you can just cross out straight away, just so you don't end up doing those, okay? And the first thing I want you to do is look at each section, figure out which one you're best at. So just look at all of them, look at all the different essay types, and be like, which of these can I just start off with and just get out of the way straight away? And you want to try and get those easy ones off the paper and done. So if you find a really easy essay or one that you've done before, start with that one, get that straight in, do a quick plan for it maybe, write down what you're going to write for, what you're going to write for against, what you're going to do for the critical evaluation of either side, and then what you're going to do for your conclusion. You need a conclusion for these guys, and also you need religious viewpoints in these as well. Just because this paper's less on a religious standpoint as much as it is on a thematic standpoint, it doesn't mean that you can neglect religion in this one. You still have to put the same religious viewpoints that you had learned back in your paper 1. A lot of people ask me how many paragraphs to write in your question 5, so your essay question. Now this obviously depends on what your teacher taught you, but let me just say what I did and what helped me. I wrote 4 paragraphs, only 4 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, I mentioned every single viewpoint that agrees with the statement, okay? So any religious standpoints, any non-religious ones that I can bring in, anything that just simply agrees with the statement, and put a little bit of explanation to why. You don't want to do too much just yet. You just want to put in the viewpoints and just leave it at that pretty much. And then you want to go to the against, obviously, so you're for and against, everyone's going to have that. Now the next part, which arguably is the most important to get the high marks in, is I'd have a third paragraph where I analyze both of them and I'd compare and evaluate both of them separately and then together as well. So I'd talk about how each of the different sects of people believe in different things and why they believe in them, and then talk about how, for example, this one can be advantageous in this sense and this one cannot be, and things like that. So everything that you've learned, you're just basically comparing them now, and you're trying to mention, why is this good, why is this bad, what's the reasoning for this one, where are they getting their facts from this one, where are they getting it from this one, what do they believe, why are they believing it. So those are the things that I mentioned in my paragraph 3. My paragraph 3 ends up usually being the longest one as well. My paragraphs 1 and 2 aren't usually that long, and then your conclusion, obviously, where you have to bring in your own viewpoint. I would recommend this one to be separate from the other paragraphs. You don't have to be truthful here, okay? This is literally just about getting marks. No one's actually here trying to test you and make sure that you're actually believing in what you're writing about. You're writing it for the sake of getting the marks. So you just write anything that you're able to justify and write enough about, and then you just move on to something else and write another conclusion for it. It doesn't matter what you agree with and what you say, as long as you have something backing it and it's not something you're repeating from earlier. You don't want to just repeat yourself in the conclusion, because then it's just worth 0 marks. It's just a waste of time writing it. And speaking of time, very, very important to manage your time here. Try and give yourself between 12 to 15 minutes to do these essays. I personally would start with these essays and get them over and done with, and then move on to the other question types, but it's up to you. I personally started with question 5 and then went back to question 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I used to do them. And if you are wondering how do you get better at these essays, how do you know what to write for them, this is the time to be practicing these essays. You don't want to fully write them out, as I mentioned in my previous video. All you want to do is look at potential essays, so anything that's come up in the past that could probably come up again. Look at all of them and just write a short plan. So write what you'd put as for, against, what you'd analyze for both of them, and then write a conclusion, and then move on to another essay. You want to just spam different essays and just practice what you do for all of them, but you don't want to fully write them out, because that's a waste of time. Maybe write out 1 or 2 of them just to make sure that you know how to manage your time. You just want to focus on planning. That's your main area here. So for each section, just do some plans and you should be fine. And if you're worrying about quotations, how to memorize quotations, stuff like that, genuinely don't worry too much. Like, you can put in love thy neighbor in every single thing and you're probably going to be fine with it. That's usually one that always works, so you can always bring it in somehow. You don't need to worry too much about quotations. I remember some comment told me if they should put a quotation in every paragraph, including the conclusion. You don't need that many quotations. Obviously, especially in your essay, it's good to put quotations, but you don't need them. As long as you're mentioning scripture in some sort of way, you should be fine. But obviously, if you do have a quote that fits in, that's perfect. That's even better for you. So it's better to have it in there. But just don't worry about quotations that much. You don't want to memorize too many, because you want to focus more on learning about the viewpoints and learning about what religions believe about different things. You want to focus on that, because that's where the majority of the marks lie. All the quotations are just 1 mark each, so there's no point for them. So don't worry too much about quotations. It's more about learning those viewpoints and those religious beliefs. That's what you need to learn. So my main advice is to start with the easiest essay, start with those essays just generally, and do lots and lots of essay planning, and you should be fine. That's it. And in terms of how long you should spend on your essay plan, max 2 minutes. You want to do it really, really quickly. I just write 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'd write the viewpoints in the first one, viewpoints in the second one, what I talk about in the third one. Okay, so the advantages, disadvantages, analysis, anything like that. I'd put a conclusion, I'd mention what viewpoint I'm going to bring in there, and then you're fine. That's it. It's really useful also when you're doing essay plans to look at the mark schemes and see if they've mentioned any viewpoints that you forgot about, because then you can bring those ones in as well for next time. The more viewpoints you have, that's like the more arsenal you have, and the more weaponry you basically have against this question. And so you just want to basically accumulate as many of these different viewpoints, because you have much more to analyze and you have much more to compare. But obviously do not overwrite these questions. You can get 12 marks very, very easily without writing too much for them. You don't want to waffle in this. This isn't like English where you can just write lots and lots of explanation. You're not doing that here. You're just writing what you need to and you're moving on. You're going to explain a few lines, but you want to just move on straight away. You don't have time to waffle in this paper. By the end, your hands are probably going to be aching. But remember, this is the last time you're doing religious studies, unless you're doing it for A-level. And even then, you have a long, long way away before you're going to be writing essays till your hand hurts again. So what I just want to say is good luck for this exam. You've got this. Remember those quotations, but focus on those essays. That's where you need to put the majority of your focus on. Look at those past papers, look at the different mark schemes in there, and you should be fine. So good luck. After this, you can forget about religious studies. So bye for now. See you very soon.